Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching and learning in Indiana and around the world. More at education.indiana.edu. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company. Fiber Internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. We're at the media school on the campus of Indiana University, as across the state tens of thousands of students prepare for graduation. Ahead, efforts to rein in student debt so students don't suffer or even default on their loans when they graduate.
We want people to understand their student debt repayment. We want people to understand the ins and outs of credit as much as we possibly can, but how can we do it in such a way that's going to keep them engaged?
The first class of medical students is graduating from Marian University. Where they choose to go next could have a big impact on Indiana's physician shortage.
Things are getting worse because we have an aging population.
And in headlines, the governor wrapped up his first legislative session, a look at what he signed into law this week, and a deeper look at some piece of legislation that passed without much fanfare. We'll have that and the latest news from across the state right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. We left our studio this week to bring you a special graduation edition. We couldn't have chosen a better location than next to IU's iconic sample gates inside the media school. This first story is a reality you've probably faced multiple times. Anytime you need to get into a doctor, you usually have to prepare to wait days, weeks, or sometimes even months. It's widely reported that the country is suffering from a shortage of primary care doctors. The problem is severe in the Hoosier State. The federal government designated Indiana as one of the most underserved states in the U.S. A number of factors are accelerating the problem, but this year's first graduating class from Marian University's medical school in Indianapolis could help reverse the trend. Rachel Gahagan and Trenton Smalley are part of the first graduating class from Marian University's medical school.
I've enjoyed all areas of medicine throughout medical school, whether it be pediatrics, through geriatrics, doing OB, sports medicine, emergency medicine. You get to do all that as a family medicine doctor.
130 aspiring physicians will receive degrees Sunday, and of those, nearly half are focusing on primary care in Indiana.
It's a great place to practice medicine. I think people here are genuine. I think they're caring.
Gahagan is doing her residency in pediatrics at Peyton Manning Children's Hospital. From there, she hopes to stay in Indiana and continue practicing.
There's a strong sense of community amongst Hoosiers, and I don't think you find that everywhere.
This is significant because a recent study from the National Healthcare Policy think tank Robert Graham Center found that to maintain the status quo, Indiana will need more than 800 additional primary care physicians by 2030.
It just tends to get worse and worse and worse.
Indiana's population is aging as it grows, and more people are getting insurance through the Affordable Care Act and Indiana's expansion of Medicaid, known as HIP 2.0.
There is not a area of Indiana, city or town, that doesn't have a shortage. And I'm talking about right here in Indianapolis. It doesn't matter where you live.
Nationally, Indiana ranks 38th in the ratio of physicians to patients. The statewide average is more than 1,500 to 1. But the problem is exacerbated in rural areas. Newton County and Warren County have the highest primary care to patient ratios in the state. Each one has only one primary care physician in the entire county. Feldman says increasing training and the number of medical schools in Indiana go hand in hand with more doctors practicing in the state. There's a federal initiative led by the Association of American Medical Colleges to increase med student graduation by 30%. Indiana University exceeded that goal, but the big story, Feldman says, is Marian University.
And that's a game changer. It changes the whole dynamic in this state. And now we're going to further our goals of getting enough physicians, particularly primary care physicians, to practice in Indiana.
Some states do offer incentives to med students. They'll forgive their student debt or offer dedicated funding for primary care residency programs. Indiana does have a loan forgiveness program, and although it's in state statute, it doesn't receive any funding. That aside, Schmally and Gahagan still say it makes sense for them and their careers to stay in Indiana. They've made valuable connections during their 4 years at Marian.
That's the biggest incentive for me, is to continue to stay here and work with those physicians and learn from them, and then later go back and give back to the community that helped me to kind of have the success that I've had.
Medical school enrollment is up across the country as universities expand their curriculum and more schools like Marian open their doors. The next big hurdle is the lack of residency options or positions. Graduates can't go on to become practicing physicians until they complete their training in a residency program. But Congress hasn't increased funding for these positions in more than 20 years, creating what Feldman calls a bottleneck of students with, in a sense, nowhere to go. Now, for headlines, we go over to Barbara Brosier, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. A developing story out of Greene County. We've been reporting for months on the management and finances of the Utilities District of Western Indiana Electric Co-op, which serves portions of Greene, Monroe, Owen, Lawrence, and Clay counties. The company's board of directors voted unanimously this week to put CEO Brian Sparks on paid leave. Sarah Whitmire has the latest.
UDWI says the decision to place Sparks on paid leave is about restoring customers' faith in the co-op. During Sparks' tenure, customers' electricity bills increased to the highest in the state. And data we collected from the U.S. Energy Administration shows that UDWI was only spending about 53% of what it was charging customers on the actual purchase of energy. The co-op is a not-for-profit, but over the last 5 years, tax records show that more than $15 million of excess earnings have been reported. Now, there are 3 new board members who ran on a platform of looking into the co-op's finances and increasing transparency. They convened Tuesday for a special meeting.
Our board of directors as a whole, their eyes were wide open to some of the concerns of our members, and they wanted to respond to them. And of course, some of those concerns were concerning the handling of our members' money. And so they felt like this was a necessary step to put everyone's minds to ease.
Chapman and Manager of Operations and Engineering Shane Smith are assuming Sparks' responsibilities while an independent audit is conducted. Chapman met with employees Thursday and told them to cooperate with the investigation.
In order to allow that to be the most objective, transparent process, they figured they would take Brian out of the equation so that no one could claim he exerted any undue influence on the process, and allow it to proceed.
There's no timetable for when the investigation will conclude. Chapman says whatever the audit reveals, the board is prepared to respond in the appropriate way. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Sarah Whitmire.
The FBI won't confirm whether their agency is involved in the investigation at UDWI. Anthem is asking the United States Supreme Court to review a Court of Appeals decision that would limit access to what the insurer calls high-quality, affordable care for millions of Americans and deny them more than $2 billion in medical cost savings annually. Anthem argues the precedents the court is relying on are outdated and need to be updated to reflect the modern understanding of economics and consumer benefit. The Brown County School District is cutting about $950,000 from its budget. The decision comes as the rural school district grapples with sharp declines in enrollment. It lost 100 students just in the last year. The board unanimously approved 16 recommendations Thursday, including one that will allow the district to keep its preschool program while still saving money.
Our current preschool teachers who are fully certified teachers have been replaced in the teaching population K through 12, and we've been able to replace those preschool positions with individuals who have an associate's level degree.
The district will also save money by cutting 8.5 paraprofessional jobs, shrinking extracurricular positions, and eliminating some jobs through attrition. Indiana's governor says the state's alcohol laws need review. He signed a bill this week that requires 60% of alcohol sales be for on-site drinking in order for permits to be renewed. The measure targets convenience stores, particularly Rickers. The owner used a loophole to obtain permits to sell cold beer. The governor also signed a bill changing how much some Hoosiers will be compensated for energy they produce. The legislation decreases the amount utility companies are required to pay for excess energy produced by some sources, such as rooftop solar panels. Some rates will be grandfathered in. A new law going into effect this summer deregulates hair braiding, and it's getting mixed reviews from some in the cosmetology industry. Braiders are currently required to have a cosmetology license, a process that can take 1,500 hours and cost more than $10,000. Braiding, however, does not require dyes or chemicals commonly used in hair salons and is often not taught in cosmetology school. Advocates of the change say it removes unneeded restrictions and allows skilled braiders to practice their craft without expensive schooling. Angela Carter, owner of Angela's Ebony Hair Designs, says as a small business owner, she has some mixed feelings about the change.
If you can't find somebody with a license then to fill the need, then people go other places. So that's one side of it. But the other side is that, you know, I am licensed and I did go to school, and there are a lot of people doing hair in their homes, which also takes away from business.
Carter says in the past she's referred people elsewhere because of the lack of skilled braiders working in her shop. The new law could make it easier to recruit more braiders. However, Carter does worry those without a cosmetology degree won't know all of the health and sanitary practices necessary in a salon.
I think we just have to learn how to apply, educate in a good way. I think we'll have to. It's a good thing. But we have some challenges ahead of us.
The change goes into effect July 1st. The state Supreme Court is ending a 2-year effort by attorney William Groth for documents and emails from Vice President Pence's tenure as governor. Groth initially sued after Pence refused to release a document relating to then-President Barack Obama's executive order on immigration. After it was revealed Pence used a private email account for state business, Groth sought to have the case sent back to a lower court, but the Indiana Supreme Court said no. An organist at a Brown County church is being charged with institutional criminal mischief after admitting to police he vandalized the church. Nathan Stang admits he sprayed the words Heil Trump, a swastika, and an anti-gay slur on the exterior of the building in November. In a statement to police, Stang said he wanted to give people a reason to fight for good, even if it was, quote, a false flag. And he says he realizes this was not the way to do that. Kokomo's Highland Park playground that was destroyed during last summer's tornado outbreak is almost ready to reopen. Mayor Greg Goodnight and city officials are planning a ribbon-cutting ceremony next week, and they want to thank those who've donated money to fund the project.
We're incorporating it with the main playground area, making some other enhancements along there. We just remodeled the restrooms.
Goodnight says they've raised more than $90,000 for the Rebuild Highland Park Fund that helped replace the ADA-compliant playground equipment and plant more than 165 trees. And Joe, hopefully the rain will go away in time for them to get out there.
Yeah, well, they were supposed to do it this past Wednesday, but had to push it back because of the flooding in that area. So hope they can get it in.
Hopefully.
Thanks, Barbara. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. We'll take a look at ways students are addressing the debt they take on for a college education, and a scientific breakthrough that could lead to treatments for noise-induced hearing loss. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
Nature takes you places where you've never gone before.
It's watching something that's actually happened.
Nature sure drew me in the story.
Just their power and their grace.
You know, it was just so beautiful to watch them.
The movement and just watching the body and watching the chase.
Like this huge, lush, vibrant watercolor.
Chimps.
There was such a shot of underneath watching these elephants swim in this deep water.
I had no idea even they could swim like that.
I saw one monkey pulling on this one monkey's tail, and the monkey like, man, what you doing? What you doing?
It's like the theater of the wild or something.
7 billion trillion animals living on one planet.
It's like more colorful than than you think life can possibly be.
Somewhere between the mystique and the beauty of it is reason enough to sit down and watch.
That's life, and that's nature.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. The North Central Park Community Schools Corporation will undergo big changes in the coming months. The school board recently voted to consolidate Turkey Run and Rockville Junior-Senior High Schools, with one serving as a junior high and the other as a high school. The move will save the district a significant amount of money. As James Vavrick reports, it's a challenge many of Indiana's rural districts are facing as enrollment continues to decline.
The North Central Park Community Schools Corporation sits in the middle of Park County, a small rural area in west central Indiana. It's a community with a large farming industry and a growing Amish population. But like many small communities throughout the state, Park County schools are struggling.
Over the past probably 30 years, there has been a declining enrollment in our school system.
The amount of declining enrollment caused the two school corporations to consolidate into one several years ago, which cut administrative costs in half. But the new district superintendent, Thomas Rohr, says it was clear the two junior-senior high schools in the district couldn't operate independently for much longer.
With only 1,200 students in K through 12, it makes it, again, very difficult to offer the kinds of programs that we wanted to offer.
Rohr says that combining the schools opens up many opportunities for maximizing resources and ultimately providing more for their students. Many teachers support the consolidation.
I teach 5 different preps, which is difficult as a high school teacher, and that's pretty much the norm for the entire building now. Sure. So we're hoping with the consolidation that we can start to specialize a little bit more and be able to offer more classes for the kids too.
More districts across the state are considering options like consolidation as they seek significant cuts to their budgets. 19% of the school districts in Indiana serve 1,000 students or less. For them, determining the best path forward is often complicated by strong emotions from the community.
The focal point of many small rural communities is their school. It's a great sense of pride. It has a history. It is a part of that community culture.
Turney says each situation is unique, but consolidation is sometimes the best way to serve students in rural communities.
We've looked at a lot of different ways, along with these collaborations, that we can be more efficient and ways to save money. And so we try everything that we can to continue the setting that we have currently until it's just at a point where people see that this is really it needs to change.
But some parents in Park County aren't convinced consolidation will result in all of the benefits the district is touting.
Right now, it really appears to be more of a reorganization than a consolidation. I mean, all the buildings are staying open, doesn't appear that there's any cuts, so doesn't look like a whole lot has changed other than we're going to be moving a lot of kids around.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm James Vavrick.
Scientists at Indiana University School of Medicine say a new breakthrough could have a significant impact on treating many inner ear ailments. Ryan DiBattista reports.
The study published this week in Nature Biotechnology outlines this lab's recent successes with growing inner ear tissue from human stem cells.
One of the innovations we've come up with over the years, us and other groups, is to grow the cells in 3 dimensions. In kind of a gelatin-like material. And this allows the cells, it gives them the support they need to kind of organize themselves into an organ-like structure.
Kohler believes this development could lead to treatments for sufferers from congenital and noise-induced hearing loss by allowing doctors to repair a damaged auditory nerve.
We've seen that is technically possible within the inner ear. We just need to be able to surgically implant the cells in the right spot. The problem with the rest of the inner ear is that it's such a delicate, complex structure that it's going to be very difficult to surgically place the cells where they need to go.
Although not yet fully developed, Kohler also believes that, with more time, there will be treatments developed to regrow the sensitive hairs inside ears that help with balance.
And we're hoping that we can kind of accelerate the identification of new drugs and new gene therapies with this technology. We think probably over the next 10 to 15 years, we'll be able to start seeing these drugs or therapies reaching clinical trials.
Kohler says the project shows a lot of promise, but it is still in its research phase.
Students are faced with big financial decisions early in their college careers, but often they aren't prepared to do things such as live within a budget, manage debt, and understand credit. Lindsay Wright joins us now. Lindsay, early mistakes can have a long-lasting impact for these young people.
That's right, Joe. When students enter college, it's fair to say many of them don't understand their finances or how, for example, taking out a huge loan can impact them well into their adult lives. The total balance of student loan debt has nearly tripled just in the last decade. It sits at a whopping $1.3 trillion. Universities are taking on some of the responsibility and offering financial literacy programs that aim to help.
Sarah Fortune is one of more than 114,000 students enrolled at Indiana University. She works a part-time job on IU's Bloomington campus and tries to live frugally. But still, there's a big gap between what she earns each month and what she spends on tuition, books, rent, and other expenses. Money is constantly on her mind, and so is her future.
Being able to graduate with limited debt will better allow me to buy the things I want later in life. So from a house to a car to taking care of kids.
But it's not easy. The number of students borrowing money has nearly doubled in the last decade from 23 million to 43 million borrowers. Rising costs of education, loss of funding, and more people going to college are some factors. But a lot of people with student debt don't understand how best to decrease borrowing.
You'd be amazed at the number of students on most campuses that don't know what a loan is, that they have to pay it back. And then you have parents that are saying, well, yeah, I signed this thing. It's a Parent Plus loan. I just did it so that my kid can go to school. And they don't realize that they themselves have been put on the hook for tens of thousands of dollars.
Federal laws require that incoming students receive some form of counseling about loans, but it's often done online, so they don't understand the details of what they're borrowing. That's why Carol says financial literacy programs designed to help students make informed money decisions should be a requirement at the college level.
There ought to be one entire course on how much does college cost and what are the borrowing options and what does it mean and how much does this amount correlate to in payment and what are the 10 money mistakes that every freshman in college makes,
Schools across the state like Purdue, Notre Dame, and Butler, for example, offer varying financial literacy tools. But one program, known as Money Smarts through IU, is proving rather successful. It's free, and IU President Michael McRobbie, in part, credits it with reducing student borrowing by nearly $100 million since it launched in 2012. Carol, along with the director of Money Smarts, Phil Schumann, says those numbers are significant, even more so because they're not including interest.
The average is about $3,200 per undergraduate student. So over the course of their 4 year, hopefully 4 years here at IU, they're borrowing $3,200 less than they were before, which is phenomenal.
But still, nationally in 2016, the average student loan debt was just over $37,000, and Schumann says at IU, the majority of students are in the $15,000 to $25,000 range. Because of a trip to Money Smarts, Fortune says she's on track to graduate with minimal debt or possibly no debt, thanks to scholarships and budgeting help.
I initially did it as just a part of an assignment, but once I actually got here and got to interact with the specialist, I realized that it was more than just a grade.
When she graduates, she hopes she'll still be debt-free. That's a much different outcome than a lot of people experience. And that's why Schumann encourages students to scroll through the Money Smarts website. It offers resources, podcasts, quizzes, and more. And experts believe these programs go well beyond just being a student with loans. Carroll says he thinks younger generations are at least thinking about other options, which he says is a good thing.
So they're having these conversations where they're just trying to educate, and as a result and a byproduct of educating them, the students don't take on the debt. they find other ways. They apply for more scholarships, they do work study, they do a variety of things.
He says just being aware of the other options can significantly alter what a student's debt will look like down the road.
In the long run, I think it will help me be a more efficient adult, honestly, knowing different ways of managing money.
IU recently announced a nationwide program to help students at different age levels before and after college. And Joe, experts say breaking down that information to be more age specific can be really important.
Thank you, Lindsay. That's the end of this program from IU's Media School, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching and learning in Indiana and around the world. More at education.indiana.edu. Main Source Bank, headquartered in Greensburg, Indiana, offering products and services to fit every stage of life. More information at mainsourcebank.com. Main Source, life needs a great bank. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company. Fiber Internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com.
And by WTIU members, thank you.